We have people waiting to hear us online and at our other campuses. So we have just a couple more people coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everybody. I am Carlos Amaya. I am Vice President of Student and Enrollment Services here at El Paso Community College. And it's my pleasure, thank you, to welcome you, thank you, Rebecca, to Dr. Serrata's State of the College address. So, after 3 years of virtual presentations, it's so great to be back. I mean, I feel it, right? Even though a bunch of you guys sat in the back, we'll forgive you for that, right? It's so wonderful, right, to see everybody back in person, gathered here at the ASC. And I know that a lot of you are all in person at our other campuses. So, I want to be sure to give a shout out to all the other campuses. We'll make sure we recognize everybody. Mission del Paso and Dean Villalobos. Yeah, there you go. Trans Mountain with Dean Webb and Dean Mann. Northwest Campus with Dean Tena. Rio Grande Campus, Dean Hajar, Dean Kirby, and Dean Mager. And the Valle Verde Campus with our Deans Pagel, Rodarte, Guerra, Bruce, and Valerio. So it's so great to have, hello everybody, all my former colleagues, they're still my colleagues, but from instruction. And also a big hello to everybody streaming online, right? We're happy to see you, even though we'd rather see you in person. So I appreciate all of you coming in to share this time with your EPCC colleagues. I encourage everybody, and I'm sure that's been the case, to look around, greet everybody, smile, say hello. I was very fortunate earlier this morning. I was with my division, and it was so great to see everybody in person. I'd had just my virtual meetings previously, and getting to see everybody was just really warming, and I'm happy to see everybody. So, as I've been mentioning, one of the most exciting aspects of this semester is the fact that we're all back in person together again. The return to full capacity, both for our employee team and our students, is a critical turning point as we emerge from the pandemic. This semester has been an important time to reconnect and renew our collective work and providing our students the highest quality educational opportunity and experience possible. The energy and enthusiasm at our campuses, in our classrooms, and in offices all across our college is palpable. I mean, you can sense it right now in the ASC. I looked back a few minutes ago and I was like, it's not so full. And then a couple minutes later, look at this. It's just about at capacity. So our vibrant campus life has returned full force. So we must continue to work together to ensure even more students enter our classrooms, utilize the incredible new lab. So thank you so much to Bell for putting together this slideshow, highlighting all our facilities. And it's just from the outside. Once you get in, you're going to see how beautiful they are. Utilize the incredible new labs and state-of-the-art technology in our new buildings, and have the opportunity to work with our talented faculty and staff. As Vice President of Student Enrollment Services, I'm pleased to share that because of the work of, I have a great team, my incredible team, and the collective college efforts, enrollment has increased a little over 1% this fall semester. Right, I said clap here, but I would expect a bigger clap there. Enrollment is front and foremost on our minds. So, importantly, also, our enrollment of first-time in college students, here's the big one right here, has increased 19% over last year. That's awesome, right? Great evidence that our collective efforts to reach our recent graduates has shown great returns. So, thank you, everybody. But we can't stop there, so let's not get comfortable. We have a responsibility to our students and our community to ensure that more individuals embark on a path to post-secondary credentials. We must continue to work together as we help to understand others in our community the value of a college degree or certificate, and that the investment of time and costs are worthy, right? We want to make sure that everybody understands what they're going to get from taking on that investment. So we want to make sure that all individuals in our community have a clear path to enrolling and completing, and every single one of us remains focused on this goal. Also like to stress that enrollment and retention is everyone's obligation. We hear that all the time, right? Board meetings, from President Serrata, from your respective leaders. We know that we're all responsible for this. I thank you all for all the work that you've done already to help us with enrollment and retention, and ask for your continued help to drive continued enrollment, help our students stay on path and graduate. These efforts make our students' lives and our entire community stronger. So I appreciate your attention, letting me say a couple of words as I introduce Dr. Serrata. I also want to be sure to thank Belle, as I mentioned, for helping with the slideshow, Dr. Mo for helping with the remarks, so she's amazing, and also all of you all for being here at all your respective campuses and online. It's now my honor to introduce El Paso Community College President Dr. William Serrata as he delivers his 12th State of the College Address. Dr. Serrata is a visionary leader and recognized nationally across the state and most importantly in our community for his achievements in higher education and his dedication and work to make EPCC a leading institution of higher education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Serrata.
Well, good afternoon. It's certainly a pleasure to see everyone in person. I hate to, for those of you that are seeing me for the first time in person, I'm much taller online, so my apologies for that. Dr. Amaya, thank you for the great introduction. Certainly appreciate all of the comments as well. But you gave me credit. This is my 11th State of the College Address, so I certainly appreciate and I look forward to next year, but not quite there yet. It is so good to see each and every one of you. I cannot overemphasize how good it is to see each of you. I hope that everyone is continuing to take care of yourselves, of your families, to continue with your health. It's incredibly important. I see some folks with masks, and I do not blame you. It is a large crowd, and so anyone who feels the need, please do so. We want to make sure that everyone stays healthy. And I'll touch on several different things. Let me just thank a few folks. I want to thank Pam and Belle for the work that they did on the presentation. Even this morning, we're still working on it, and so I want to thank them for the great work. For all of the vice presidents in their respective divisions that submitted a significant amount of slides. It's always the hardest thing to figure out how to pare down the presentation. It's really a reflection of the work that you do on a daily basis and the great work that you do. And so I really want to thank everyone for that. Our media and IT staff, they do a wonderful job, an incredible job, and can't thank them enough. They make it where I don't have to wear my glasses. If you see me drive in the evenings in particular, I will be wearing glasses, but they put this nice monitor here for me to see. And so that's really really appreciated and can't thank them enough. Let's jump right in. We're going to go through and we're going to talk about Dr. Smith and his leadership team and the great work that our Instruction and Workforce Education Division has done throughout this last year. And I'll start with the medical lab technology and our students that have done a tremendous job. The MLT program students have continued to have a 100% pass rate on the national certification. Our graduates have earned a scaled score of 666. It's a little nervous with the 666, Dr. Smith, but the national score the national average score is a 510. So our faculty, the medical lab technology faculty and Dean Hajar, our students outperform the national average, and that is tremendous. Cannot thank them for the great work that they continue to do. Continuing with that, our diagnostic medical sonography program has done a great job. They have state-of-the-art equipment to be able to train our students in. That helps our students prepare for their careers where they'll be using this equipment. They're trained on the latest technology that's available. We need to ensure that the programs that we have are going to be relevant to the careers that our students are going to go out and entertain as they graduate and move forward. Our surgical technology program continues to do a great job. The faculty and students have been trained on the LapSim technology, Cannot thank Ms. Rodriguez, the program coordinator. And I want to make sure that I reference the quote here. The training was very intriguing. I was amazed to see how the virtual reality machine understood how to guide and instruct our navigation. That's from Martha Rivera, one of our students. So this is a tremendous effort, and we're certainly excited about the state-of-the-art technology that we continue to purchase, that we continue to implement on our respective campuses. Along the same lines, I just mentioned Professor Margaret Rodriguez. We want to congratulate her. She authored, she's one of the authors for the new 3rd edition textbook, and her quote is, "I dedicate this book to my husband of 39 years, George, who has dedicated his professional life to 42 years to being the quintessential example of what a certified surgical technologist should be." So wonderful accomplishment, certainly excited about that. You see the title there, Microbiology for Surgical Technologists. Outstanding effort. We certainly are proud of that. We want to congratulate Professor Manuela Gomez. She is the 2022 Piper Professor for the state of Texas. So absolutely deserves that. You know, this is one of the most prestigious statewide awards for teaching excellence in higher education. And she is the first professor from EPCC since, I believe it's been 27 years, if I'm not mistaken, yes, to receive this award. Certainly proud of that accomplishment and thrilled that the college, again, is featured at a statewide level for the wonderful quality of our faculty. The Avancita College Group, this is 2 generations of graduation, the path to success. They've done a tremendous job. Workforce Solutions, Borderplex, Creed, and Creed have successfully launched the Parents and Child Education Program. In spring of 22, we had 18 graduates. In the fall of 22, we had 36 graduates. Certainly thrilled with that. I want to thank Dean Rodarte, Dr. Pago, and Professor Galindo for the great work that they do at that. You see Dr. Smith with some of the recipients at the ceremony from this spring, actually. Just a wonderful activity. Certainly thrilled with this as well. The Esl Bridge Program, you know, this is Miss Emma Rosales, one of our students. She graduated in the spring of 22 with an Associate of Applied Science and Medical Laboratory Technology. She reflected on her journey. She started as an ESL Bridge student. And so she says, quoting her, "I'm so grateful for all the help I received all the way from ESL classes to graduation." What an accomplishment. What a thrill for us to be able to take students from that particular point. And it's the whole purpose. The Center for College Access and Development, ESL Bridge, it opens the college door to English learners in our border community, and it facilitates their success. Ms. Emma Rosales, tremendous job, and we're certainly proud of her as well. I want to talk about 4 new partnerships that Dr. Pago and her team have moved forward. Casa Ford is providing internship opportunities for our automotive technology program. You see that wonderful building. That was one of the last buildings we opened pre-pandemic in the fall of 19. In addition, the Microsoft Teals pilot project is moving forward. Bitwise continues to move forward, hiring our students as IT and computer science interns. And then Grow with Google, First Time in College Center. This, again, tremendous job by Dr. Pago, by Professor Willers, Professor Nahira, Professor Vargas, Dr. Servin, and then our counselor, Ms. Lujan. Wonderful programs, again, that allow our students to be able to earn and learn the kinds of things that they'll be doing on the job site. So thrilled with these. I want to talk about the school store, and so I want to provide Shannon Valles kudos for the great work that she did. The school store the purpose is to motivate area ISD students for the upcoming school year. On the 16th of July, we had 400 area school children that range from pre-K through high school, from 61 different schools, 5 different school districts. 30 information booths and displays were available to them at the Rio Grande campus. And then you see we had 36 college faculty, 36 staff, 30 community volunteers, 52 students. They had about 1,500 hours of service, and they provided about 2,224 hours of volunteer time, which is equivalent to about $65,000. So this is a wonderful service learning initiative. We're thrilled. They found ways during the pandemic to provide these to our community, and now able to come back again face to face. And so we're wonderful, and we're thrilled with this particular program. You know, at Building J at the Rio Grande campus, it is state-of-the-art technology, and we were also able to get a mock courtroom for the justice class, mock courtroom in the justice classroom. It provides hands-on setting where students can observe, organize, and participate in mock trials. It allows students to be engaged in those trials and other legal proceedings. It demands high level of critical thinking and analytical writing. And so certainly thrilled with the mock courtroom. It is beautiful, and we look forward to students continuing to use it on a regular basis. You know, our faculty continue to lead extracurricular programs, and we're certainly thrilled with this. Chrysalis, as well as our service learning program and our Papagayo program. Tremendous efforts with this. Minerva La Vega is the leader for Chrysalis. In addition, we have the service learning program is led by Patricia Islas, Naomi Weissman, and Shannon Valles, and then the Papagayo program is led by Jorge Gomez. So thrilled with this as well. Wonderful programs that allow us to ensure that our students are engaged not only in the classroom but outside of the classroom as well. You know, the Melon Foundation is a significant foundation that provides significant amount of resources traditionally to universities. So we're thrilled that we received an initial Melon Foundation grant in partnership with UTEP. We've been approved for an additional grant of $2.34 million. The college is getting just short of $1 million for the Humanities Collaborative between the college and the university. Again, cannot thank the team enough for this. Margie Nelson Rodriguez, Jorge Gomez, as well as Dean Kirby, who was one of the initial PIs for it for the college. Again, 9 EPCC faculty fellows and 12 student fellows will be a part of this. It is just tremendous effort. We want to thank them for the great work that they continue to do. Our Theater and Mass Communications and ASL Interpreter Prep program collaboration. A great program in the fall of 2021. The production was Little Tin Dogs. That was uploaded. It was obviously, we're in the midst of the pandemic, but we did continue to provide this. It had 700 views. It was submitted to the 54th Kennedy Center for American College Theater Festival. Another successful production was The Kiss of the Spider Woman. This one, they asked for those that were going to attend to provide donations to our food bank. 400 items of food were collected for the Tejano Food Bank. This fall of 22, they're going to move forward with a streetcar named Desire. So those of you all, Brando stuck in my head. Stella. Yeah, I remember it well. And then in the spring of 23, they'll be doing Rue del Amor. Ted Carver and his team do a tremendous job of showcasing the talent of our students, and so certainly look forward to these respective areas and these wonderful productions. Open educational resources continues to be a movement in higher education, and I'm certainly pleased. As much as I appreciate the bookstore and the kinds of scholarships we're able to award, I remember being an undergrad, and there was a point in time where books were nearly as expensive as tuition. And so open educational resources continues to be moving forward. Our faculty, with Dr. Mitchell leading this, continue to do a wonderful job. You know, by removing the burden of textbooks costs, every student has equal access to course readings from day one. And that's what we want. We want our students to be set up to be successful. And obviously, we want to make sure that they have those resources. So cannot thank Dr. Mitchell and the team for moving this forward, continuing to provide solutions for our students. Lucia Rodriguez and her team, the Student Success team, continue to do a great job. In the spring of 22, the My SIO data, 90 tutors, just under 300,000 minutes were tutored, just under 5,000 hours, 5,606 tutoring session. culturally relevant, engaging, connecting, collaborating, and understanding. Again, we found ways to do things during the pandemic, and shame on us if we haven't learned from that. So as wonderful as it is to see everyone in person, we have to maintain both physical as well as an online environment so that we ensure that we're engaging our students regardless of their choice of modality. The first-year experience continues to move forward. Ms. Lujan, Dr. Mitchell, and their team continue to do a great job. You know, the major impact is creating equity through first-year experience centers and early alert. You see all the different programs that they're moving forward. You've seen that we have facilities on several of our campuses. The goal is to get to all of the campuses. They've done a tremendous job of ensuring and, again, facilitating student success. So cannot thank them enough for that. Let's talk a little bit about our Northwest campus and the Jenna and Laura Bush Community Library. Laura Lee Ambris partnered with the Molina Foundation. Over 30,000 books to be distributed to the El Paso Community College through our community library. A truckload with 99 titles, again, just over 30,400 books, valued at about $250,000, arrived at the warehouse last spring. It was enough books to fill a bookshelf 1,500 feet long. This is the Book Buddies initiative. It's an initiative to distribute about 1.5 million books worth about $13 million to nonprofits and community groups. So we're thrilled to receive those textbooks. We'll make sure that we get them into the hands of students and community members. We have a new dedicated anatomy and physiology lab. We converted room A272 into a STEM lab at the Valle Verde campus, 272-1, sorry. It is a wonderful STEM lab. It allows projects for our allied health students. It's a hands-on learning activities projects that allow them to apply 3D printing technology, math, and engineering skills as they enjoy a 21st century learning experience. So again, we continue not only to build new facilities, but continue to renovate the facilities that we have. We need to make sure that we are at the level that students need us to be. Our Rising Stars program at the Northwest campus, this has been around since the fall of 2015, provides tutoring to elementary and middle school children in math, science, reading, and writing, focuses on helping children build their English language proficiency. Want to thank Crisol Escobedo, Gilbert Silva, Patricia Islas, Naomi Weissman, and Albert Asasi for the great work, and certainly thrilled with this, continuing to move forward with that Rising Stars program. Borderlands, Tony Purcell, this is the 39th edition, and he is the faculty coordinator for this particular publication. It's a student-driven yearly publication with students in English 1302 courses, writing research paper on local topics. Again, the 39th edition in 22-23. It is showcasing our own Lawrence Welsh, our English professor and poet extraordinaire, and it has so many different articles about Rosa Alcalá, Octavio Solis, Pat Mora, and along with folks, El Paso giants like Gene Roddenberry and among others. So a great publication. It took me a while to recognize Lawrence Welsh on the cover as the animated picture that they have, but it is a tremendous publication, and certainly look forward to reading that. Dr. Dena and the Teachership Academy, the steering committee, continue to do great work. It's been around since 2008. Phase 2 was developed in 2012. They conducted 15 Phase 1 cohorts in which 141 full-time and 103 part-time faculty participants. Phase 4 conducted 4 Phase 2 cohorts with 39 full-time and 15 part-time faculty. They've reached over 330,000 students, obviously a duplicated count since this has been in existence since 2008. The steering committee includes Richard Barkat, Pat Duran, Rudy Hernandez, Cecilia Hines, Robert Moreno, Dr. Jose Pacheco, Ivan Iniguez, and Dr. Jeff Civilis. So want to thank them for the great job that they continue to do. They transitioned and had it online, and I would imagine that shortly we'll be transitioning back to face-to-face. Our Welcome Center and Resource Fair at the Mission del Paso campus. This is great engagement strategies by Dean Villalobos and his team. We have the Mission del Paso Welcome Center. It provides assistance to our students in registration as well as Blackboard and several other areas. And then the Resource Fair is a yearly event celebrating Mexico Independent Holiday on the 16th of September. So thrilled with these particular student engagement initiatives that, again, allow our students to be engaged while they're on campus. We know that if students are engaged, the likelihood for their success increases. I want to congratulate and thank Ms. Yanez. This young lady has been leading our senior adult events, and they'll be returning this year. Over 165 free online and in-person courses that are offered. Just a tremendous job, from Grandparents' Day that was on the 10th of September to Navidad on the Border that will be on the 10th of December. The Love Conference returns in February of 23, and then the Grand Gallery of Senior Art will be in April of 23. So Ms. Yanez, thank you and your team for a great job. Again, we want to make sure that our community is as engaged as it possibly can be with El Paso Community College. Mr. Ferguson and his team at the Small Business Development Center, they do a great job. They received 2 additional grants from the Small Business Administration, just short of $300,000, as well as a $60,000 grant from the state of Texas. They were able to assist 404 new clients, a total of 646 clients. They injected about just short of, or just over $16,400,000 into our community through the small businesses that were assisted. And so for every dollar that's invested into the Small Business Development Corporation, they have a return of $7.16. That's a pretty remarkable return. I see Mr. Flores here on my right. I'm sure he'd be pleased with that kind of a return for everything we do at the college. They hosted 230 training events for just short of 3,000 attendees. Again, tremendous job, Mr. Ferguson. And during the pandemic, all of these were transitioned. So it's not that they stopped at all. We continue to move forward, but now we're moving forward with lots of face-to-face events as well. Mr. Admendades and his team, the COC staff, yes, absolutely. 276 businesses that were impacted. The award total of those grants were just over $4,000, $364.1 million. 276 businesses counseled, 1,766 counseling hours, 73 training and outreach events with just short of 1,400 attendees. Certainly appreciate the great effort that we do for our community, led by Mr. Armendaniz and his team. The Children's College, we had over 220 students and 300 seats in 2022. They were supporting arts, STEM, and athletics while creating a college-going culture. The offerings included Young Rembrandts, Napology, and Black Rocket. Certainly want to thank Leticia Guerra and Melissa Sanchez for their effort, and again for continuing to ensure that we have our students and young students in building that college-going culture. The sooner we get them on campus, the more likely we are to see them as they graduate from high school and beyond. Dr. Olga Valerio and her teams received a Job Corps Scholars Grant. It was a $1.1 million Department of Labor grant. Absolutely. Well done. We had 61 students enrolled for the fall of 22. You see the 6 programs that were offered, from diesel technology through welding technology. Again, this assistance covers tuition, books, and tools for these students. Certainly thrilled with this progress and look forward to continuing to expand our offerings. Dr. Alvarez in the Rise to the Challenge Bridge program just continues to do a remarkable job. RISE students have completed and presented at national conferences. The interns continue to excel. They've become K through 12 teachers, college faculty, researchers, or they've entered the biomedical workforce. And we're continuing to move forward with this. While the participation in programs like this are leading the development of a diverse biomedical research workforce, with the knowledge, skills, and a vested interest in regional, national, and global biomedical issues. So this is a wonderful program from early college, high school students throughout while they come and transition into the college and beyond. So I want to thank Dr. Olivares for the tremendous program. Dr. Amaya, who was kind enough to do the introduction, I'm going to talk a little bit about the great work that he and his team have done. They've done an outstanding job. Cannot thank them enough for the great work that they've done. Ms. Lopez and her team in Career and Transfer Services, they offered the Law Enforcement Virtual Q&A, a Kinesiology Career Day, the UTEP Transfer Fair. We had about 230 students that were able to apply directly with UTEP. UTEP committed to participating in an additional event in the summer of 22. We had Region 19 that we also partnered with, and lots of employer events that were held in June. So cannot thank Ms. Lopez for the great job that she's done with Career and Transfer Services. Absolutely. Ms. Maria Lopez and her team, they continue to focus on a student's abilities, and certainly thrilled that they continue to focus on the students and serving our students with disabilities, always with a focus on the student's ability. You see all of the services and accommodations that they provide. Certainly thrilled with that. In addition, the outreach events continue to move forward. They visited 24 different high schools that were separate and apart from College Bound. They held 700 presentations for 717 students, 109 parents, and 125 high school faculty and staff. Again, we also want to welcome Mr. Andrew Silva as the new coordinator for CSD. Certainly thrilled that he's on board now. Yeah, absolutely. They will also be holding White Cane Day. This is a significant event. It recognizes and brings awareness to individuals who are blind or visually impaired and use a white walking cane. So they will be holding that here at the ASC. Certainly look forward to that event and cannot thank you enough for offering that event so that we're all recognizing these particular students and the challenges that they have to that they incur on a daily basis. Again, I want to thank Ms. Lopez and her team and financial aid. Some highlights from the last year with financial aid. They were awarded an additional $1 million grant for the Texas Reskilling Grant. To date, they've received just short of $2.6 million of those respective grants. In addition, FAFSA completions were up over 1,400 or a 5% increase. They've done a tremendous job in including additional funding from the Governor's Emergency Educational Relief, the GEAR funding, as well as for the Texas Educational Opportunity Grant. A tremendous job. So there were institutions that unfortunately were not able to produce. That just allowed some of those resources to be redistributed. We were one of the beneficiaries of that, and so certainly pleased and thrilled with the great work that Ms. Lopez and her team have continued to move forward. Our new student orientation. Mr. Guerrero and his team, they held 60 new student orientation centers in the winter and summer. They served over 3,000 students at each of the respective 5 campuses. They also served an NSO for students with disabilities. That was over 100 students and parents that attended that. Thrilled with that. You see the student survey, 92% received approval, 94% were enthusiastic about starting, 97% had a better understanding of student support services. And so kudos to Mr. Guerrero and his team. In addition, absolutely. In addition, they started the Nso Summer Internship programs with 10 summer interns as well as 2 high school interns. Tremendous program. In addition, everyone is getting wiser and wiser with social technology, social media. And so I want to provide some kudos on that. They had over 1,500 Instagram followers, 20,000 accounts that were reached, 6,500 plus views on the YouTube channel, and 6,700 plus views on TikTok. So kudos for the great work. Continue that effort because we know that students are moving forward with all the new technology. Want to welcome Mr. Michael Talamantes, our Director of Recruitment Services. Yeah. He was hired effective the 31st of May, so want to talk about some of the initiatives that he's leading. Our Apply Texas workshops return to in-person across Region 19. They launched the EPCC Recruitment Network and participated in Operation College Bound. In addition to those activities, here's some of the items that are on the horizon. TACRO El Paso Week returns in person the week of the 17th through the 21st of this year. They're streamlining on-campus visit program. They are enhancing support to our Adopt Elementary School program. And they're also expanding their initiatives with Tejano Days and Fort Bliss, the school liaisons. And so thrilled with that. Welcome, Mr. Talamantes. Look forward to the great work that you and your team will continue to lead. Our testing services, I want to thank our testing services staff for the great work that they've done. They restored on-campus testing for the TSIA-2 as well as ESL AccuPlacer placement exams. They began administering exams for our surgical technologist certification program. And again, afternoon and weekend placement test sessions were added to facilitate enrollment. So thank you for doing that great work. In addition, our high school equivalency, EPCC High School Equivalency Test Center has been certified as a Pearson VUE Test Center. Thrilled with that. They also won the Prosper 2022 PVTC Summit Award for the most innovative Pearson VUE Test Centers. They were one of 3 testing centers awarded for that Prosper 2022 PVTC Summit Award. So congratulations. You see the other recipients were the Melbourne International Graduate College and the Mount Royal in Dubai. So kudos for receiving that award. Certainly thrilled with that. Want to thank Dr. Amaya again and his team, all of the Operation College Bound team, and I understand that it's a cross-functional from throughout the college. Finance is involved in it. Obviously, instruction is involved in it with our counselors, but it is led by Dr. Amaya and his team. They held 18 dates from March 30th through May 3rd, and then they culminated that with a citywide event that was held right here in the ASC, and did a tremendous job with this. All students were able to see counselors or advisors, admissions and registration, financial aid, and new student orientation representatives. We've seen the results of this, and I'll touch on it shortly, just like Dr. Amaya did, but we've seen the results. It appears that all of our efforts, everyone working really diligently, that we've seen the bottom, hopefully, and that we're starting now to recover with regards to enrollment. But it doesn't just happen. It's a number of events, and so I want to thank Dr. Maya and his team for leading great events with Operation College Bound. I want to talk a little bit about finance and administrative operations. Ms. Shaughnessy and her team have done a tremendous job in her division. Want to talk a little bit about that. So this is our budget. It is just over $158 million. I want to point out a couple of things. The state is now just short of 20% of our budget. Tuition and fees are about 24.5%. Property taxes are well over 42%. Not because we've raised taxes, but is well over 42%. And I'll touch on that shortly. You do see Herf resources in there for this particular year. That's the Higher Education Relief Fund. And that is something that I'll touch on shortly as well. But certainly thrilled. It was not easy. It was a lot of work from Ms. Shaughnessy and from all of their team to make sure that we had this budget ready. So that's the revenue that we received. This is how we distribute that respective revenue. You see each of the respective areas and the kind of revenue that they receive from that budget. So we have $158.1 million of revenue. We have $158.1 million of expenditures, expected expenditures by category. And this is how we spend that revenue. So over 70% of our budget is people. And so it is certainly really important to us to make sure that we continue to move that forward. You see respectively how each of that is distributed. Let's talk a little bit about our sources of revenue. So the light blue is state appropriations. The dark blue is tuition and fees. The magenta is property taxes. And then that's our fall enrollment. Obviously, the 22-23 is still estimated. We're still moving forward with our enrollment process, and it's an annual enrollment that you see there as well. You see the magenta bar has grown rather rapidly, not because we've increased taxes, but because our tax base has grown. And you see the light blue as well as the dark blue bars, they've remained rather steady. Obviously, the dark blue has gone down as we've lost enrollment due to the pandemic, but that light blue has been rather steady for, you're seeing nearly 20 years of data there. So again, the board takes our property taxes very, very seriously. We've had 4 rate increases in the last 17 years and none in the last 4 years. So you hear a lot of talk about taxes. I hear a lot about it as well throughout our community and throughout the state. And I know the legislative session, they've talked a whole lot about property tax relief. And I certainly am comfortable with that. But I want them to make some wise investments as well. You see that our actual no new revenue tax rate has fallen. We're at now 12.2 cents. And so even though our our revenue generated by property taxes has increased, that's why that line keeps going up, our rate has come down significantly. Here's another way of showing that. So this is the dollar bill that each of us spends on taxes. You see that about over 43% of that goes to our independent school districts. A little over 29% goes to the city. A little over 15% goes to the county. A little over 8% goes to University Medical Center, which that number will be going up, by the way, as they move forward with their bonds. And we're at about 4 pennies for every dollar that anyone spends on taxes. We are by far the best value. We provide so much to this community. So that's key as your neighbors and others talk about the college's taxes, and as I get emails from board members that are getting emails from constituents, and I actually go in and figure what their actual tax rate is, we have not raised ours. And so we're about 4 cents for every dollar that someone pays in taxes in our community. Tuition and fees as well. We balanced our budget without a tuition increase and without a tax increase. And so kudos to Ms. Shaughnessy and Mr. Flores and their entire team for being able to make that work. You see our tuition and fees. We are by far the best value of higher education in this region. And I chose to start including in our comparison Southwest University, which is for a comparable program. Their tuition and fees for one semester is $7,300. And Western Tech, their tuition fees is $7,700. So our students for the same program pay 21% of what Western Tech students pay and 22% of what Southwest University students pay. I think it's important for the board and for our community to see this, for us to show that we are absolutely the best value in higher education in our community. And we'll continue to work hard to make sure that our tuition and fees are as low as we possibly can maintain. Our Herf resources, the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund grant awards, we received 3 tranches of those respective awards. You see them all laid out there. It was just over $122 million that we received. You see some that are specific for students, so the $8.3 million from CARES, another $8.3 million from Carissa, and $31.9 million from the American Rescue Plan Act was specifically for students. So let's talk a little bit about how we've spent it to date. We've spent, as of the 31st of August, about $101 million, of which just short of $50 million went directly to students. Lost revenue accounted for about $37.5 million, and then institutional resources were about $13.7 million. All of those laptops, all of those tablets, all of those hotspots, all of those cameras that we needed to be able to produce and to be able to provide all of our instruction virtually. That's where a significant amount of those resources were spent. We also were one of the first institutions that we waived student debt. We didn't really waive it. we used Herf resources to pay for that student debt, which was about $4.5 million. And we helped get 6,600 students out of debt. And we turned around and we recruited them heavily. And the last data I saw, well over 20-25% of those students re-enrolled. We have about $21 million remaining. We expect to provide another $4.5 million of aid to students. We expect about $13 million of lost revenue and about $3.5 million of institutional resources that we'll expend those resources on. That remaining $21 million must be spent by June of 23, or else we have to return it to the federal government. We will spend it wisely, but we will spend it. We will. But we'll spend it wisely. But I've been meeting with our delegation and our legislators, and I've made sure that they understand that those resources must be spent by June. So this legislative session will be focusing on our budget for 23-24, which begins September 1st. So I've made sure that they understand what we expect from them. But again, this has been a tremendous job of ensuring, and so we have a Herf task force. It is led by Mr. Flores, our AVP for Budget and Financial Services. Throughout the pandemic up to this point, they continue to meet on a regular basis to ensure that the task force is moving forward with recommended expenditures with those resources. Information technology has hundreds of laptops, as I indicated earlier, and hotspots that were funded by these. Classrooms have been upgraded with equipment to facilitate both face-to-face as well as online learning. We waived distance ed fees for students in 21-22. We waived the late registration fee in 21-22 because we wanted to make sure that we were as lenient as possible and try to ensure that students didn't have an excuse not to enroll. As I indicated earlier, we discharged student debt to allow them to re-engage. You see that the latest, that was in July, we had the 18th through the 22nd, bursar services discharged another just under 1,200 student balances. That was almost $838,000. Again, just a tremendous job that they have done, and certainly pleased with the great work that Mr. Flores and that team has led. Cannot thank them enough. Again, I want to emphasize the student debt that was discharged. I want to thank Melissa Collins, Ana Zuniga, Monica Akhtar, Dr. Peña, and Doug Shermer for the great work that they did on that. And they coordinated the efforts to improve not only the student debt, but payroll and human resources approved that additional retention incentive. So please, when you talk about it, it's a retention incentive. It's not a bonus. It's a retention incentive that was the second one that we were able to ensure that our employees received. And so want to thank all of the team for that great work that they have done as well. Thank you. Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit more about that incentive payment because it's important. We had to make sure that we followed the methodology, that we had, it was a significant amount of effort before the board actually approved it. And can I thank Juanita Martinez, Jackie Cabral, again, Mr. Flores for the great work that they did, as well as Cabinet, the task force members, Mr. Elliott and Manuela Gomez, for the great work that they have done on this. By the time it gets to the board, we've dotted every I and crossed every T to ensure that we're utilizing these resources appropriately, that we make sure that we're as we cover everyone that we possibly can. And so we're certainly thrilled with the great work that they did, and cannot thank them enough for that great work. In addition, Laura Theas has done a great job with the budget office. Not only all of the budget information that was included in the May and August board workshops, but also the biennial legislative appropriation request, the LAR, that's due for the 88th legislative session. That was submitted, and that was done by Ms. Theas. Can't thank her enough. In addition, Aquiles Maldonado, thank you. Absolutely, you can clap for, yeah. Our property management control has done a great job as well. They completed a 100% of the district-wide physical inventory audit. So thrilled with that. Again, as we purchase all this equipment and as we purchase it during the pandemic, we have to make sure we know where all of that equipment is. And so tremendous job with that as well. I want to thank Juan Flores, our Director of Auxiliary Services, as well as Dr. Andy Quiroz, our Director of Quality Enhancement. They had an innovative program that they were able to launch to increase attendance at new student orientation. They allocated Barnes & Noble bookstore donation was $10,000. We were able to provide gift certificates to students that was redeemable at the bookstore here at the Valle Verde campus, rather. And so a great initiative, again, ensuring that we have student engagement at the institution. Absolutely, yes. Well done. I want to thank Laura Rosales and Greg Martinez for the great job that they have done through our instructional service centers. They led the migration of successful migration to a new 320 mailbox key recipient system at the Valle Verde campus. In addition, they developed and completed the new handbook, forms, and procedures at the Rio Grande campus. A lot of effort to ensure that all of this is done accordingly, and certainly thrilled with that. Our comptroller and accounting services, so Ms. Zuniga and Juanita Antunes, they've done a great job as well. In June of 22, we received a fully compliant status from the Texas State Auditor's Office. Certainly thrilled with that. The college received the 2022 Certificate of Distinction for the college's investment policy. They led a successful desk review of the college's annual financial report by the Texas Workforce Commission, and this is focusing on direct impact on the apprenticeship training program, the skills development, as well as skills for small business programs that were administered by the college. So a tremendous job, and cannot thank them enough for the great job that they have done as well. Yeah. Also want to congratulate and thank Ms. Zuniga, our comptroller. She served as the co-chair of the Texas Association of Community Colleges Officers, TACBO, Annual Financial Report, the AFR Committee for the calendar year 2022. You see what the committee does. They're tasked with reviewing any changes in governmental accounting, and those come often, standards or other information affecting the budget and the annual financial reporting requirements. And so not only leading at our institution, but leading statewide as well. So thank you, Ms. Zuniga, for the great work that you have done. Yeah. Our diversity inclusion, this is something that's important to the institution, and we continue to move forward with this. I want to thank Dr. Peña, Lee Vasquez, and Luz de los Reyes for the great work that they have done in moving forward and leading this particular effort. They had virtual presentations that were provided for students, faculty, and staff. It included the Brave New World series, as well as the Hispanic Heritage Month that is being celebrated right now and just started last week. And certainly excited about that, but cannot thank Dr. Peña and his team for continuing to move forward and lead this respective effort. It's important to all of us, so thank you all. Thank you. Employee relations continues to move forward. I want to thank Audrey Ortegon and Melena Field for the great work they've done. We held supervisor training. The Scott Holst law firm held that for us in June. We had 152 attendees. The Title IX committee member training that was also conducted by Scott Holst. The website was updated with Title IX information. Incredibly important, and the implementation of the Get Inclusive software for online, again, mandatory Title IX training for employees as well as students. These are federal requirements. We have to ensure that we're in compliance. And again, I want to thank Ms. Ortegon and Ms. Field for working with Scott Holst to ensure that we are in compliance. HRD, want to thank Mr. Hernandez and Mari Reyes, as well as Hilda Mendoza. They held their 29th annual staff development retreat right here in El Paso. I know this was odd, but it was held here. The retreat was Work Teams and the Wizard of Oz. 97% of the participants rated the program as excellent. They coordinated 5 retirement workshops, coordinated and delivered 12 hybrid workshops to 78 employees. and want to thank them for not only being for being wonderful and for ensuring that they were flexible during the pandemic, but for starting to bring back face-to-face kinds of events as well. And so thank you for the great job that you all have done. The physical plant, Mr. Lobato and his team have continued to move forward. They're continuing. Safety's incredibly important. I referenced that earlier, and we will continue to ensure that it's important. So there's an ongoing evaluation of all of our offices as well as classrooms by Mr. Aguirre for the safe return of students and staff. In addition, oversight of Olympus, ensuring that the cleaning, disinfection, and PPE equipment supplies are provided. That was Israel Manuela's. And then again, the master plan is at the tail end. I'm going to touch on that shortly. They're really focusing on punch lists and warranty issues at this point. But I want to thank Mr. Lobato for that great work and his team. In addition, some projects that have been completed district-wide. So at the Mission campus, you see the new Waco's Tank Road turning lane. That was pretty important when you were coming off of that. I did it several times, so that's an important piece. The roof repairs at the Law Enforcement Academy, the service road repairs for flood prevention. That's the design that's been completed there. At the Rio Grande campus, the Little Temple and the A and B building roof refurbishments. At the Trans Mountain campus, the loading dock flood prevention work. And then at the Valle Verde campus, the fire lane replacement, as well as the physical fitness stages. Again, a tremendous amount of work that has continued. There was a lot of work that was done during the pandemic. We came back to see all that work, but the work doesn't stop. It continues. And so, Mr. Lobato, you and your team, thank you for the efforts on those. Absolutely. Dr. Linda Brown, I think this was Pam's favorite slide because it was Disney font that she got to use. The Leadership Academy class of 2020 and 2021 joined the class of 22 at the Disney Cruise ASC retreat, celebrating 18 years. And so cannot thank them for the great job that they've done. Dr. Brown, continue that great work. Want to thank Ms. Rudnick for 10 years as serving as coordinator of Salute to the Arts. She has transitioned out of that particular role, and we want to welcome Sarah Aguilar, who's now the coordinator of Salute to the Arts. And so want to thank Ms. Rudnick for the great work that she's done, and look forward to Ms. Aguilar continuing that great work in Salute to the Arts. Absolutely. Dr. Penley and her team, probably the highest level of stress over this last year and counting, and want to thank Dr. Penley and her team for a tremendous job that they've done. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about SAC-COC. So the 2022 year in review. So in February, we submitted a compliance certification for the offsite team's review. In April, we received that offsite committee report. In May and July, May through July, we worked on and submitted a focus report that addressed the offsite committee's concerns and judgments. And then in September, we had an on-site visitors team that came here. They looked at our QEP. They reviewed our focus report. They visited several of our off-campus instructional sites. They met with a significant amount of folks. I'm sure several of you in the room met with them. They met with administrators, faculty, staff, students. They also met with the board. It was a college-wide effort. It was significant effort. It is a 10-year reaccreditation process. It is not an easy process, and Dr. Penley and her team led that. Let's talk a little bit. We had an orientation. We went from the compliance certification to the off-site review to the on-site review. And then the board will review that material in June, and we anticipate receiving full reaffirmation. They came down to two minor, from my perspective, minor recommendations. It is a tremendous effort that everyone had a part in. Dr. Penley and her team led this. Cannot thank them enough. I'm going to touch on a few more people, but again, cabinet and every division that contributed to the reaffirmation process. It is everyone's responsibility. But I want to thank some folks in particular, Ms. Bell, Ms. Frescas, Mary Beth Hahn, Dr. Yvette Huerta, Dr. Carol Kay, and Dr. Andy Quiroz. Yeah, they did a great job. In addition, the staff support that they received from Enid Cordova, Rebecca Garcia, and Maria Munoz. Again, a tremendous job. Cannot thank Dr. Penley for leading this effort. Cannot thank each of you for the work that you put into it. Again, from my perspective, 2 minor recommendations that we will fix quickly, and we anticipate full re-accreditation in June of 23. The QEP was a part of this process. Everyone should know this by now. Find your way, connect, discover, and succeed. The goal is to improve student success through increased communication and ongoing career exploration to empower students to take ownership of their academic and career paths. You see what each of those respective areas of connect, discover, and succeed are. Again, Dr. Quiroz and her team have done a tremendous job with this. We look forward to the implementation of the full implementation of the QEP. The team had no recommendations. They had suggestions. I'm sure we will incorporate those suggestions, but certainly pleased with the great work that has been embarked upon with our QEP. Want to welcome Dr. Yvette Huerta, who's now the Director of Institutional Effectiveness. Absolutely. Dr. Penley and her team, they're excited to welcome her, and they look forward to her new role with the RAP team, and they'll do a great job. I'm sure Dr. Huerta will continue to do a great job. Data Equity and Fellowship, Dr. Penley and Ms. Vasquez were both selected for the SAC-COC NWCCU, the Northwest Commission on Colleges and University Data Equity Fellowship Program. It's a 12-month fellowship that supports the successful implementation of a data-informed equity initiative that's aligned with our mission and strategic plan. So congratulations to Dr. Penley and Ms. Vasquez for being selected for that fellowship. Absolutely. Well done. I want to talk a little bit about the great work that Mr. Fernandez and his team in information technology continue to move forward. The Technology Resource Center continues to move forward. You see the topics of their workshops. There was 118 sessions that had 600 plus individuals that participated, from recording, editing, or preparing videos for teaching, all the way through various Microsoft Office Suite products. I want to thank them for the great work. Our network systems continues to do great work. Security, they provided security identities workshop as well as an endpoint management workshop. Again, Mr. Fernandez and his team, I want everyone to pay close attention to the last item on there, which is the MFA, Modern and Basic Authentication. This is a multi-factor authentication. You're going to continue to hear more and more about this. If you have not updated your devices, I encourage you to please update your devices. The directions went out. I had to ask Mr. Fernandez to send them to me again, and he did, and I've been able to update my devices. It's going to be a more and more important role for us. And it's not going to feel as comfortable. It's going to be a little bit of work initially, but we have to make sure that we have that multi-factor authentication in place. It is incredibly important. So I encourage each of you to look out for those notifications that will be coming soon from Mr. Fernandez and his team. Our web development program assessment, 7,600 plus completions have occurred since April of 22. 82% of our users complete the assessment within 5 minutes. And so kudos for being able to create that. It is incredibly important, and certainly excited about that progress as well. Our degree plan. So Mr. Fernandez will tell me regularly that this is the most clicked on piece of our website that students get to, is the detailed course information on our degree plans. It's had 11,000 plus clicks since April of 22. And so thrilled with the progress that has been able to be made there, and cannot thank that team enough for the great work that they continue to do. Obviously, we have 6 new buildings. Those new buildings, they recently constructed, they've been added to our online maps, including all the rooms in those. So students can search for a room and be shown where it is across the district. 6 buildings, 15 floor plans, 560 individual rooms and locations that you can find with a few clicks now on our system. So kudos to them for a great job with that. IT applications and analytics, Aram Hubal and his team have done a great job. The DBA team, Aleutian Degree Works upgrade has gone forward. The ERP Finance, Human Resources, Higher Education, Emergency Relief Fund payoff, that moved forward. The IT reporting and analytics that I use often, daily, supporting our student evaluations of non-instructional faculty, that's moved forward. The faculty instruction, student learning, CBE, educational services. You see what each of those respective areas are. No easy task to implement these, but they were implemented and implemented well. Our open computer labs and media services, Mr. Ramos and the great team that they have, 1,500 plus students. They serve 1,500 plus students every semester at each campus. Again, you see that they've added 2 more labs in the AST building, added 120 plus more computers for student use. The ongoing project is to upgrade 1,000 plus PCs at all of our campuses to serve our student community better. In addition, the PTC camera and ceiling microphones in 284 technology-enhanced classrooms has moved forward. They've upgraded 183 PCs in those technology-enhanced classrooms from Generation 1 all the way to Generation 3. And again, Media Services added 3 auditoriums with state-of-the-art technology at the Valle Verde, Northwest, and Mission Del Paso campuses. The buildings, we have some new buildings. The equipment has to stay and upgraded and it has to be new as well. So kudos to them for the great work that they've done. Mr. Lara and his team, in addition to all of the broadcasting they're doing right now, which I certainly am appreciative of, but you see all of the different things that they've done. They've live streamed the spring semester commencement. They've recorded chef share sessions, critical thinkers hosted by faculty, member Miguel Valenzuela. All the commercials that they promoted from EPCC TV, you see all of the different things that they've worked on. Just a tremendous effort. Again, during the pandemic, this was even more important to make sure that we continued that engagement with our students as we come out and as we begin to be post-pandemic. That continues. So we're going to ensure that we've learned. We're going to provide them in both formats. I want to talk about Dr. Mo and the great work that her and her team have done as well. Public relations and earned media results. Again, Mr. Heine and his team have done a great job. They continue to garner exceptional coverage from national and local media. Over 71 press releases that were generated by marketing in the 21-22 fiscal year, and 100% had at least one news outlet report on it. We were mentioned in the media 725 times. That's an average of 14 times a week. So certainly appreciate the great work that they continue to do and continue to ensure that the community knows about what we're working on. Marketing and community relations continue to market the value of our college degree. And again, you heard me reference what our degree costs versus what it costs at other locations. And so cannot thank them enough for the great work that they have done. Dr. Mo, Mr. Heine, and the team really showcasing our alumni and providing student testimonials. Sorry, I thought I could get through, but nope. Our grants management team, Mr. Elliott and the grants management team have done a tremendous job. There's 73 active grants that total just over $32.1 million. In addition to the $127 million of Herf resources, they're managing about $159 million that are being handled by the GMO. A total of just short of $10 million was awarded during fiscal year 22. 53 new and renewals of 68 applications, or a success rate of just short of 78%. That's unheard of. It's a tremendous job by our grants management team. Certainly appreciative of the great work that they do. Absolutely. Some staff updates on that. Mr. Elliott was selected as the Director of Grants Management effective June 1st. Congratulations on that promotion, and thank you for the great job that you've done, Mr. Elliott. Absolutely. Julianne Flores was hired as a new grant specialist. And then want to talk about Jessie Ariano. She received the Outstanding Thesis for UTEP's College of Liberal Arts. And so great work again for each of them. Cannot thank them enough. The foundation, there was new resources of just about $541,000 to support our students from donors and partners. 26 new foundation partners. You see there that they received $10,000 grant from El Paso Electric Community Partners. Dr. Gross and her team do a tremendous job, and so cannot thank them enough for the great work that they have done. And speaking of their area, so October the 6th, Fajitas and Margaritas returns face-to-face. Looking forward to that, as well as EPCC Giving Week, which will be October 13th through the 20th. If you want tickets for Fajitas and Margaritas, there's the link. I encourage you to look at that. It is a great event, and so we're certainly looking forward to being at that event once again. Let's talk a little bit about the post-pandemic impact. So we need to be very clear about this. The data is overwhelming, despite some of the national rhetoric that you hear. College, earning a degree or certificate is the absolute surest path to the middle class. This is the latest data that's available from the Department of Labor. I certainly understand that unemployment is at about 3.6% now. This is the latest data that they had available. You see, as you go up with credentials, the likelihood that you're unemployed goes down. And then you see your average weekly earnings continue to go up as you go up that particular ladder. Higher education is the surest and, from my perspective, the only pathway to the middle class. And so it is obvious. I know there's some national rhetoric that questions the value of higher education. The data is clear. And so we need to share that with our community. So from the fall of 19 to the fall of 20, we had about a 10.4% enrollment decline. Obviously, the pandemic severely impacted that. In addition, we saw about another 5.5% decline from fall of 20 to the fall of 21. So about 15.4% decline. You see the impact to males as well as to females. Again, I'm thrilled to say that the preliminary data, and the only reason it's preliminary is because we're still adding students in the mini-mester. But we are seeing that fall 22 is up over 1%. So it appears that we have seen that the bottom of the decline and that we're going to start to now grow. We're at 24,779 students as of this morning. And so certainly thrilled with that. The 24,632 is the final enrollment for fall. At this point last year, we were at about 24,400. And so we're continuing to add to that 24,779. So cannot thank everyone for all the great work on this, and we certainly appreciate this. Let's talk a little bit more about this. Academic transfer has declined 18.5% during the pandemic. Career technical education has grown 24.5% through the fall of 21. Currently, for the fall of 22, it's grown 31.6% since the fall of 18. It has grown every term of the pandemic. So students are starting to see a very clear connection between coming to the college, earning a credential that provides them a living wage. And that's important. And we're fortunate that we're in a position to do that based on the master plan. It is still incredibly important for us to continue to cultivate and continue to bring back those academic transfer students as well, because those are important degrees as well. And so we want to make sure we do that. Our enrollment is shifting. This fall, we anticipate that career technical education will account for well over 18% of total enrollment, and academic transfer will fall to about 81%. Again, from my perspective, that's not a bad thing. We just want to make sure that those academic students re-enroll. In addition, the student type is important. So that is through fall of 21. So you see that continuing students, we received an impact. Let me also focus on a couple of things. When you have a smaller N, then obviously retaining that N becomes more difficult. And so, when that N was 15,000 students and we're able to retain 14,000, well, that was now 12,600. Now it's 11,600 on continuing students. It again appears that is leveling out. And so I anticipate that will be similar to that data. Dual credit, during the pandemic, we saw an increase in dual credit because we were offering courses online and the districts were encouraged to participate in online. We saw that fall in the fall of 21 to 15%. Early college high schools at about 19%. First time in college students in the fall of 20 fell all the way to 12% of our total enrollment. It recovered in 21 to 15%. And I'm happy to share it's now 18% because it is rebounded significantly. It's at 4,451 students as of this morning. That is, as you can tell, that goes all the way significantly. It's just short of where we were in the fall of 18 rather, and 19. So we've started to see a rebound, and certainly pleased with the great work that has occurred there. Our completion measures, we've been able to maintain these. And it'll be more difficult as we get further into this, but I'm pleased to show that we're at 4,388 degrees and certificates. You see the number of Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, Associate of Teaching, Associate of Arts and Teaching, and Associate of Applied Science, as well as our certificates. I would anticipate that the AAS degrees and certificates will start to grow more significantly as those enrollments continue to increase. Let's talk a little bit about dual credit. You see it peaked in 1920 and has now begun to decline. Obviously, with going back face to face, that was going to be a significant impact to that as well. These students continue to outperform every other segment of the student body, not only at the college, but at the university. They're 3.8 times more likely to graduate within 4 years compared to students who have not participated in dual credit with as little as one dual credit course. An additional 1.5 times more likely to graduate within the 150% period of time or within 6 years at UTEP. Early college high schools. Again, our early college high school programs continue to prosper. That number has continued to grow. We're graduating about 68.5% of them. Again, thrilled with the great work that we've done with this. And you see the data based on how they perform. They are 4 times higher than those who did not take college courses in high school, and they're twice as high as dual credit students to graduate on a timely basis as well. Since we started early college high schools way back in 2006, we've graduated 5,129 of those students before they graduate from high school. Absolutely tremendous job. My only frustration is they don't count in our graduation rate. Not our issue, that's an IPEDS issue, but it is absolutely the right thing to do. And these students continue to succeed all the way through bachelor's degrees into graduate schools, and so we're certainly thrilled with the great work that they have done. But I will share that our entering cohorts are for full-time students are about 2,100 to 2,300 students. We're now up to where we're graduating about 500 early college high school students a year. And so if you figure 20, that would improve our graduation rates pretty significantly, 15 to 20% percentage points. So I'll continue to advocate at the federal level that gets changed because we've done a great job. In addition, these are our success rates. Our 3-year graduation rate has improved from 8.8% to 24.1%, the latest data that's available. The 4-year graduation rate has gone from 13.8 to 29.8, and the 6-year graduation has gone from 26% to almost 38%. This is all of you all doing a great job with this. In addition to that, time to degree has been reduced dramatically. In the last 9 years, we've trimmed off 1.1 years for a student to get an associate's degree. It was averaging a student 5 years. It now averages them 3.9. We're not satisfied. We understand that we need to get that as close to 2 as possible, but a tremendous amount of effort and great results have occurred. In addition, we've reduced 23 credit hours off of what the average associate degree earner. This does not include developmental work. This is just 4 credit courses. In 13, it was averaging a student 102 hours to receive an associate's degree. It is now 79 hours. So a tremendous amount of work and effort has gone into this. Pathways has played a key part of this. All of the student success initiatives that we have been a part of have been a part of this. And so we're certainly thrilled that we've been able to do good by our students. The total success rate, this includes the graduation rate plus the transfer rate. We've gone from 28.3% to just under 49% in a 10-year period. Again, tremendous amount of effort from every single person in this room, everyone who's watching virtually. Everyone has done a great job with this, and so we're thrilled with that. You see the percentage increase on the transfer rate as well as the increase on the total student success rate. The number of degrees and certificates that we've awarded. So in the last 12 years, we've awarded more than half. So we've now awarded over 95,000 degrees at the college since we were created in 1969. More than, absolutely. More than 50,000 of those degrees have been awarded in the last 12 years. So we have a laser focus on student success and getting students to the finish line. So I want to thank each of you for the great work. Let's talk a little bit about recognitions and the great things about the college that continue. So for 17 years in a row, EPCC has been one of the leaders in ensuring that Hispanic students are awarded associate degrees, and we've been recognized by Hispanic Outlook. I think it was the 5th or 6th year in a row that we've been on the cover. Kudos to Dr. Mo and her team. Kudos to each of you all for our commitment. There's a lot of institutions that are significantly larger than us. Miami-Dade comes to mind immediately. Miami-Dade's over 100,000 students. We continue to lead the nation and be one of the leaders in awarding associate's degrees the last 17 years. So kudos to each of you all. Absolutely thrilled with that. Diversity is something that we absolutely value. It feels like yesterday that we did this application, and now it's the 10th year in a row that we have received the Higher Education and Diversity Award from Insight into Diversity. Thrilled with that. Mr. Vasquez, Ms. De Los Reyes, kudos to you all for the great work that you've done on that. Thrilled that we're continue to be recognized by this. One of the few community colleges that receives this designation. The Bellwether Award, we were a finalist this year for the Bellwether Award. Our programs in the CEP, the College Assistant Migrant Program, High School Equivalency Program. You see the picture there. The real stars in that picture are Dr. Muro and Swami Mesa. They lead that particular program. Thrilled with the great work that they've done, the fact that we were a Bellwether finalist. So thank you and congratulations to each of you all. The National Council for Marketing and Public Relations. So I want to highlight Ms. Viri Villa. She received a 2022 Medallion Award for the Positive Facts Flyer, as well as Mr. Luis Flores, who received a Medallion Award for the EPCC Foundation Annual Report. Kudos to you and your team, Dr. Mo. Great job. Certainly thrilled that they were recognized at a national level. We're thrilled with that. Our student athletes are tremendous. Absolutely. Faith Nayafi is a national champion. Adams Biwan is an All-American. Again, thrilled with our athletes and how they perform on the track and field. Our women won their 6th half marathon national championship. Congratulations, absolutely. Our men finished in 7th. Kudos to them, and we're thrilled with that as well. And they're not just champions on the track and field, they're champions in the classroom as well. So that's their GPAs for the spring. Every single one of those athletic programs has at least a 3.02 GPA. Our baseball team with a 3.202, all the way through our women's half marathon that had a 3.68. You see our academic all-conference students. We had 28 athletes that were recognized, and we had 14 NJCAA academic All-Americans. So not just champions on the track and field, champions in the classroom as well. Kudos to Mr. Hinojosa and the entire team for the great work that they've done. The master plan. this will be the last time you ever hear me talk about this master plan. We'll see about the future. But we've completed all of our facilities. And so kudos to everyone who's been involved in those. Mr. Gallardo and Mr. Lobato, all of the different campus teams. So we held our grand opening for the Mission Del Paso campus on the 19th of November. It is a spectacular build. All of the facilities that we built are spectacular, but it is a state-of-the-art facility. It's gorgeous on the far east. It has 3D printers and ER stream table that replicates surface processes of streams and rivers for geology students. It has a Giga Macro virtual reality sandbox. It is just a tremendous facility. Certainly proud of that particular facility. In addition, on the 14th of April of this year, we held the grand opening for the Valle Verde Art, Science, and Technology building. It is a tremendous building as well, the largest of 103,000 square feet. It features cutting-edge science and computer labs, enhanced performance spaces for the dance and music. The first-year experience is in there. It also has our time capsule for the 50th anniversary is in there as well. Again, a gorgeous facility. I know many of you used that facility this morning for your professional development activities. So we're thrilled that we're able to provide our students as well as our faculty and staff with state-of-the-art technology. Finally, the Rio Grande Campus Building J, we held that grand opening on the 8th of June. That was our last grand opening. It was the sixth and final project. That building is 5 levels of parking and 2 floors of multi-purpose classrooms. There's classes underway in state-of-the-art, high-tech facilities for echocardiography, radiologic technology, EMT, phlebotomy, pharmacy tech, dental hygiene, and other disciplines. Again, an absolute gorgeous facility. I'll share with you in December of this past year, we hosted Commissioner Keller, who, by the way, will be our commencement speaker this December. Commissioner Keller, the biggest compliment that I got is that he said he went to Texas Tech and saw their facilities. Then he came to our Building J facility, and he said they were absolutely on par. So that is a kudos to everyone who had a part in the master plan. Yeah, well done. Thank you. Thank goodness we did it when we did it, because we would not have been able to afford what we were able to build. But it was a tremendous job. Everyone worked really, really hard. I am thrilled that it is complete and look forward to using those facilities. I want to make sure that everyone knows how much the board appreciates the great work that each and every one of you does on a daily basis. You know, the employee retention payments that went forward, the board approved and authorized those 2 one-time payments. That was in December as well as in June. In addition, they passed a 5% across the board salary enhancement that was passed in August. It went into effect in September. Again, the board recognizes the great work. They also recognize inflation, and so they have done their best to make sure that everyone has the resources that you need to deal with inflation. And so I'm certainly thrilled with the board and their actions, and want to thank them for the great work and for all of their dedication as well. And so about an hour and 20 minutes or so, and we're done. So thank you all so much. It is so good to see all of you in person. Please continue to be safe. Please continue to be diligent about your safety, yours and your families. Have a great fall semester. I look forward to seeing each of you throughout the semester, and thank you for the great work that you do.